Hit me with it.
I'm freezing.
Why? Any particular reason?
Yeah. Our electric bill last month was really high. Or I guess our gas bill, because our house is gas. So Lauren said that we have a new rule. And it's she started out with saying I can turn the heater on at 50 degrees.
Whoa.
Okay, okay.
That's real?
I was like, okay, Mr. Freeze. She's just like, everybody chill.
That's hardcore.
No, so I was like, I'll meet you at 55. But really, it's going to be more like, I think once it hits 60, I'm cranking things up or like working out or something, because that was like we live in a 2-story house, which it's not really it's a split foyer. So you walk in and you can either go upstairs, you can go downstairs. And our gas bill is like $170, which I think is like not crazy. But
I've never had a house, so I don't know the comparative.
Yeah, me neither.
How much space there is.
But if you are like renting, if you're used to renting, usually you're like all your utilities, gas, electric is usually like $100 in the winter. It might be a little bit more if you live in an older area. It's not like newer. But I don't think 170 was crazy. However, we just got a ring. We just went on vacation. Like, we're trying to cut costs a bit. So, I was like, oh, let's do 55. Fortunately, the temperature hasn't gotten any lower than like 60 outside. So, and we have a pretty well insulated house. So I am okay right now, but I can't wear like a short sleeve shirt around the house. I have to wear at least 2 layers. So right now I'm wearing.
What is it right now in there? What's the temp?
I think it's like, last time I checked, it was 63.
Jeez. Okay.
So
what was it when you were growing up? Like, what was the temp in the house? What were the rules?
I don't really remember, to be honest, but I also remember being poor. So I imagine it was not ideal.
I was gonna say I remember 62 was when like the low for the heat, and then like the high throughout the winter was 65 for us, and that is no longer the case. We have it a little bit warmer than that, and if it were not my choice, it would continue to be warmer still than what it is for us right now.
My parents divorced when I was super young, so I don't remember any kind of numerical value associated with anything, because after they divorced, my mom moved in with like my grandma, and then my dad moved with my aunt, and then there was no immediate family control of the thermostat anyways. So that just wasn't a thing for me, at least that I knew of. But
I mean, that's a good not problem to have, I'd say, to just be like blissfully unaware of how much you don't care about whatever was happening with the thermostat.
I think we were more worried about when we were going to eat.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad. It was more like, what are we going to eat? But no, so it's been cold. I'm wearing right now, for the listener, I'm wearing a t-shirt, a gray button up, and then also like, I think it's like an Eddie Bauer vest. So the listener's like, I don't care, man.
Like, I don't quite understand vests. Like, I mean, when it comes to like a warm one to keep people warm, as opposed to like a 3-piece suit or something like that, because I just don't get it.
Well, you
like,
have that one weird disease where like your extremities get super cold.
Well, that's true. Yeah, but does it keep your what about your arms? Do they just get cold?
I mean, like, yeah, that's why I have my sleeves kind of down right now. So like they get colder, but like it's definitely nicer having a vest on, because when I don't feel as cold or you don't feel as shivery. So like when your body is cold, and you're shivering, it's because your center, your core mass is cold. But like you still feel like numbness in your hands if it gets cold. But I feel like over time my hand doesn't feel as numb. That's also because I'm on my second pot of coffee, and I've probably just got coffee in my veins right now.
It's coming from the inside and just warming up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sounds cool.
So yeah, that's my cold open. We have never explained that. So Cody and I have this thing we called cold opens. And if you've paid attention, every single podcast except for the very first episode, we do a cold open, which is we just talk about random shit to just kind of warm it up a little bit because it's cold. TV shows do this a lot, like Family Guy. You watch Family Guy, and then there's just like a random scene, but it has nothing to do with the actual episode.
Well, I think especially because we're a marketing podcast, like I've listened to a lot of marketing podcasts. And when I say listen to, I mean start to listen to and then stopped because I was extremely bored with how dry it was. So to kind of make it at least a little bit more interesting.
Yeah. I think the actual definition of a cold open is the show starts, but the title sequence hasn't started yet. So once the title sequence starts, it's no longer, it's just that the show has started. So
do we have a title sequence? Do we have an equivalent of is just like, hey, everybody?
Yeah. So our title sequence goes exactly like this. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Everbro podcast. I messed it up there. So the Everbro podcast, this episode, we're going to be talking about what platforms you should be focusing on when starting your marketing agency to acquire clients.
Ooh, that was perfect.
Yeah. So here we are.
So you did it.
That was like opening section. Yeah. So this was an episode that I wanted to cover because I had a shower. I was thinking about it in the shower the other day, and I don't know why. I think it was because I see a lot of I've seen a lot of marketers out there trying to promote their services, but especially our competitors, but just like all over the place. Like they're posting on Twitter, they're sharing their Twitter on Facebook, they're posting articles and blogs that don't really answer questions that I've seen out there from their target audience. They're posting YouTube videos. They've got a podcast that's not really doing anything for them, kind of like us.
One that's just fun and not actually for our target audience quite yet. Yeah.
And there doesn't seem to be like a cohesive strategy. And I did this a lot when I first started, and a lot of it was because I didn't have any clients. I didn't know what to do with my time. And I just started just being everywhere always. In fact, that saying right there actually comes from someone that we worked with at Mud Advertising, Cody. Whatever, I'll call him out, Nick Barnett. I can't remember, we were on a sales call, and I wasn't a sales guy at the time. So I was like learning how to be a sales guy. And he said a phrase. He goes, we like to be everywhere always. And what he meant was basically having a complete cohesive strategy for marketing, just attacking every channel. And so everywhere always. And I think that's what a lot of people do without recognizing they're doing that. And it's what I did. And in a sense, it makes sense, but it makes sense in a traditional sense, like the billboard, like newspaper type sense. When you're in an age of digital marketing, and especially if this is your side hustle, you don't have time to be everywhere always. It's such a time suck.
Well, and I'd say everywhere is relative to where your clients are, right?
Yeah.
If you know where your clientele is and you know that they're not on TikTok, why are you wasting your time there? Like you should go find the places where they are, if that's in multiple places, and then go hammer the brand awareness in those places. But you don't, like, if they're somewhere else, if they're not somewhere that you're spending time, then I think you're wasting your time. Just because somebody said it was a good idea, if your clients aren't there, then sounds like a bad one to me.
We've got one of our competitors on TikTok. Well, I think
you sent me the videos, right?
I did.
I can't. It hurts so much.
It's cringe grade 10. Yeah, but that's like a thing. Like TikTok is great if you're in e-commerce or if you're selling courses or something to blissfully unaware high school graduates. But it's if you're in our industry, in the landscaping industry, yeah, our guys our clients are consuming, our younger clients are consuming content on TikTok, but I bet you it's not landscaping related. I would rather be on the platforms that they're going to learn information for. So YouTube, like we're on, or we're getting on now.
Facebook groups,
where they hang out, online forums, and then using other tactics like blogging as a method to, it's basically like our hooks for our fishing poles. So when I first started, and we covered this in another episode, the number one thing I did was I went to blog forums, which if you're in the local service businesses, this is exactly what you should do. You should go find forums specific to your niche and then engage. This is what I did. I'm going to put everything I have behind this as a suggestion, but then just answer questions and don't sell. But you're going to start noticing a theme. You're going to start noticing a theme of questions that are being asked, and eventually you're going to get tired of asking them every time. So then you just write a blog post about it. And anytime someone asks that question, you post a link to the post. That's it. And 9 times out of 10, it's never the person who asked the question who contacts you. It's just some other reader.
Yep.
So I did this in online forums, but you got to be careful about the rules though, because there's a lot of rules that you can't solicit unless you become a sponsor or something. So you have got to be very tactful in how you do it. Don't want any people getting banned out there because they just stupidly listen to my advice without thinking things through. Mm-hmm. And then do the same thing with Facebook groups. But again, you got to be careful about the rules there. So
I think we got a little too heavy for a second. I want to back up and make sure that people understand, because we got into like the specifics, but I just want to say first. So there's a very old Gary V video back when he was cooler.
Wait, when was that?
Honestly, I think at this point it might be hard to find even, but there was a question of somebody says, what channel should I focus on for my customers? And he says, all of them. And like most Gary Vee things, it is a very broad statement that can be interpreted multiple ways and can actually be seriously evaluated, because you'll start poking holes in it and you'll realize the issues with it. So I think on the surface level, similar to the things that he says now, yeah, that's great. That's a great way to think initially, is absolutely try everything everywhere. And then I think of it similar to investing especially when you're poor. Like when you are poor and you don't have a lot of money and you want to make money, the last thing that you should do is diversify, because diversifying is like really how you keep your money. It's not how you make gross amounts of money. The same way as like you don't make, or you don't acquire gross amount of customers by diversifying your efforts. You test until you find the ones that work and then double down. And that's where you focus hard. Now there's a difference between testing a platform to find out if it's viable, and you should continually do that. And then also realizing either when your customers aren't there, when too much effort is involved, that it's not cost effective to be on that platform, and then ultimately knowing when to quit, because it isn't worth the time and effort for whatever reason, right? There's multiple ones, but that's a skill by itself, is knowing when to identify that. And then once you do find those key channels for your business, go hard, learn the rules, learn it better than anybody else. That's when you go through and read, make sure that you become the authority in that place.
When you did your own side hustle, you had a couple non-affiliate clients at some point, right? Mm-hmm. What were your channels? How are you acquiring clients?
Referrals. All referrals. Yeah, so, that's not really helpful.
Yeah, don't do what Cody did. Well, it doesn't. Well, that's kind of how we started out though. Before you came on board, which it was pretty much all referral. It was like I got in touch with some industry people and some groups on Facebook groups, and then all of the website builds I did was essentially referrals from those groups and people in those groups. And but now like our referrals are maybe like 5% of our sales, if that. Like we got like one every like 4 months.
Yeah.
But
well, that is worth mentioning at least though, is especially because the agency scene, if you are spending time or have spent time in a marketing agency, there is a payoff to just doing a good job at the agency when you leave, because people know that you did a good job, and then they will think of you when they have work in any capacity, right? Maybe they are flexing because they took on more work than they can handle internally, so they need to outsource a little bit of it temporarily. Maybe they get jobs that aren't good fits for them and they want to refer them to someone who's better. So like that was the kind of thing that happened to me. Was I just got, hey buddy, is this good for you? And that's, I think, a good way. And I mean, it's just not a very, I guess, reliable way. for people who are, especially people who are impatient, because that's not something you really, um, that's just classic professional growth and networking, is get good at what you do, build a reputation being a good person. And then no matter what and where you are, people will refer you in various ways. And that takes much longer than just finding a place where you can get uh, clients who are looking for your services, and offering them.
I almost want to get Alec on here at some point because he went from full time to freelance kind of self agency model back to full time because he liked the full time better.
That'd be good.
Yeah. We'll put a pin in that one. But yeah, I think I followed, well, when I first started, I started reading Gary Vee. I read Crush It and then Crushing It. It was actually the other way around. I read Crushing It and then I was like, oh, this is the sequel. So then I read Crush It. And I found some value in those.
I feel like they messed up with the side. Like it should have been like Crush It More, you know, like something a little bit more clarifying.
Crush It Harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I read those and I liked them. The value I got, the one value I got from those books was become the expert in your field. Like become the thing that when people think of, in our case, landscape marketing, they think of Evergrow or they think of, Jake Hunley or Cody C. And that's it. But then like the other things in there too were like, be on every single platform. As soon as you get home from work, you scroll through Twitter, you look up relevant hashtags and you respond to literally everything. And, you kill yourself responding to shit on social media. And when you first start, I could see that being healthy for you to do, but you can't keep that up for very long. You've got to figure out your medium that's going to essentially crush it for you. He never really went into that in the books, but at a certain level too, you do have to actually be the expert. I think in a lot of those, he gives a lot of examples. Like there's like a dentist who does like fun things on Snapchat and Twitter and TikTok or whatever. I don't think TikTok was a thing back when he wrote that, but that got him a ton of business, and it was just kind of stepping outside of the norm for your industry. So what I did with Evergrow was not be salesy at all. It seemed like every forum that I went to, it was the same person or the same thing of just someone just not giving very specific advice and saying like, you've got to do this and this, but not how to do it. And then they could essentially do it for them. I was like, nah, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to tell people exactly how to do something, because the way that I learned SEO and ads and just being an agency in general was literally just looking everything up online. The information exists out there. So if somebody really wants to know how to do it themselves, they're going to find it and do it themselves. But the problem is it's not I don't know how to do this, somebody else do it. It's I don't have time to do this or learn how to do this. Somebody else do it. So if you sit there and you explain literally every step on how to do something, people are going to contact you, because now you're seen as that authoritative figure that Gary was talking about and crushing it. But we should move away from Gary because I hate talking about him.
Okay. I got two questions I want to hit you with. One is, what is your feelings on, or what are your feelings on aggregator sites? I'm talking about the Fivers and the Upworks of the world, where you sign up to a marketplace and you offer your services to people who are looking for them, and that marketplace is designed for that particular purpose.
Okay. Why is it? This is your first question?
Yeah.
All right. Why do you call them aggregator sites? Is that
because they aggregate the marketplace? Maybe that's not the best word. Marketplace site is the best example, I guess. I shouldn't say aggregator, but they aggregate the market of freelancers or businesses that are offering the services.
I've just never heard that. So
I could be making it up.
Well, I just wanted to be up with the lingo.
Well, let's Google what is an aggregator site and see if I'm just making up stuff.
I changed my mic settings so I'm closer, to hopefully that cuts down on the echo.
That sounds better.
Good.
What is an aggregator site? content aggregator website. Well, that's not quite what I mean, but is a site that collects data from other sources across the internet and puts the information in one place where users can access it. Okay, it's a stretch. I'm just going to say marketplace from now on.
All right, back to the answer. So, what's my feelings on them? I think they're cool if you could figure out how the algorithm works, which I haven't. I mean, maybe it's easier than I think, but I started doing this when I first got in with Evergrow. The problem I would submit like a bid on a project, like an SEO audit, or it's like people would pay for SEO audits. I'm like, that's easy money. And but you're submitting a bid, and so are like 100 other people. So everything became like a long, drawn out application process that I just didn't have time for. Yep. And I only, at a certain point, I only saw it as a resume builder. And then, so I'm like, okay, well, even if it takes me a little while to land some of these, low paying gigs as a resume builder, that's fine. But it ultimately wasn't worth it. So I never actually landed a single like Upwork or Fiverr gig as an SEO. But yeah. Okay, second question.
I want to add to it though, and just say because I personally never did them either, but I've had friends who have, and as just referential, like what I've learned through them and from them is it can be a good place to find your first opportunity. And then from that one, network from there. Like get off of the site after that point. Just talk to the client once you find one good client there and say, hey, who do you know? I'll get them deals to keep expanding my network, that sort of thing.
Are we assuming that this is like they've listened to episode 2 and they've picked their niche, or is this just like, because can you even find a niche client in one of those sites?
Oh, yeah, okay. So, well, I think maybe we talked about it there too, but I think it's a good idea to niche down. I don't think that you have to niche down, because another one could just simply be, well, all you need is one person to give you a shot, right? That's all you need. And if you do a good job from there, your niche will develop as a result of whatever your first opportunity is and the referrals you get from that too. So you
just need one shot,
maybe harder,
one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted.
Yep. Yeah. So I just think that, I wouldn't think of those places as the end all be all. I would just think of them as the starting point of, okay, maybe, especially if you don't have that network, you don't have those connections, then just find one good opportunity and then milk it.
Look, it's a full-time job to find an opportunity there. So if that's all you're doing, you're not going to be making any money. So like Cody is saying, spend a full-time amount of time to find your first gig, but find a good first gig that has some legs that can run with you.
Yep.
All right. What's your second question?
Second one. What do you think is a underutilized platform for us when it comes to potential client acquisition?
Oh, YouTube. I mean, we're about to, but we haven't utilized YouTube, and I've wanted to transition a lot of our content over to YouTube, just even like our written content into actually like cut and produced videos. Because I know a lot of our potential clients, prospects, and just industry leaders are on YouTube. So why not be a suggested video for, how to market your landscaping business in some capacity? So that's super underutilized by us. Did you want an answer different than YouTube, because that's what we're getting into like this month?
No, I had one that was different from YouTube actually, but I don't disagree with you. I agree with you.
Oh, okay. What was yours?
I think the one that I was going to say was potentially LinkedIn, especially for landscapers. Landscapers seem to hang out there a little bit more than other places. They don't hang out on Twitter. We know that. Like Twitter's not.
Wait, how do you know this?
Well, look at our Twitter account. I mean,
no, yeah, that's true. They hang out there more than
for LinkedIn, because I've seen the hashtags, I've seen the posts that are happening on LinkedIn. Okay. I've done like some just very minimal research to know enough. Like, oh, if we put some time into it, I bet we could get in front of the right people
Well,
there.
they have landscaping groups that I've actually been on, and I've like added content to, and I've gotten good reactions. But the problem is, it's like landscaping groups on LinkedIn is just a big circle jerk of a bunch of like providers and like sellers. So it's like, you know, there's not, as far as I know, there isn't actually any landscaping owners in those groups like looking at that. But as far as a paid medium, I bet it'd be good. Or like an outreach, but we don't have an outreach plan, and I don't intend to have one.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with you on YouTube. I think another thing though that people, this gets a little off topic as far as, but probably important for people to know about acquisition. Some channels are not good for client acquisition, but are actually better for team growth and employee acquisition. Like, um, I went, so the agency I was at before jumping ship to do this, when I was there, it was what, like 10 people, and now it's like 200 or something. I don't know. It's ridiculous. They've grown a lot very fast. And I remember talking to the CEO, and something that he said was like, social is primarily for cultural sharing and getting people familiar with the brand and the way that we work, so that when we do get new employees and people who apply, they're familiar with it, and they're also pretty good fits, because they know what they're getting themselves into. So maybe, I mean, this is later on that people should start thinking about those sort of things. But like, if you think a channel isn't good use of your time because you can't get clients from it, that might be true. But maybe don't neglect it entirely, because if and when you start to hire, those people will research those things and want to know what kind of company they would be getting themselves into.
I want to put a black picture on, just like a black square JPEG on our Facebook page, and say, fun office meeting today. Hashtag remote work.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I like that though. I like sharing it for one of our competitors, and I'll speak nicely of them, so I'll actually use their name. Lawnline, Tony. They do a really good social. They've got a lot of like in-house. They have an actual office they go to in Florida, and like I like a lot of their posts that they have on there, because it feels almost like I'm at Mud. Like it's a very nice office. Everybody looks like they're having fun, and like, man, if I see that, I would apply there for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
But no, I like that. We should do that.
More of it. We're terrible. Like, when we hang out, I'm especially terrible at taking pictures. Like, I hate pictures. And so
we have for our paintball team, after every practice, we take a team photo in front of the field, and we all have to be wearing our sponsor gear, and we all of our guns are custom team guns that have our team name on the sides. And we have to make sure that the team name is facing the camera, and that, you know, again, we're full sponsor gear.
Mm-hmm.
And so it feels like it's funny, because like paintball practice ends, and then it's like, all right, on the field, team picture, and then the team posts it and tags our sponsors in it. But our captain isn't going to be there at practice this next 2 weekends. I think he's going to be at World Cup in Florida. So now he gave us the itinerary for drills, but he didn't say anything about taking pictures at the end. So I feel like we're all going to get back up, and someone's like, no, we have to take a picture.
How do you feel about pictures? You like taking them? You do a good job of taking pictures.
I love having pictures taken. I do a terrible job at actually taking pictures. I also like to be there in the moment. So if I'm caught up in trying to take pictures of things, I feel like I'm not there in the moment, and I'm that weird guy not talking to anybody. Okay, so when I first started Evergrow, I was in Kansas City, and I was working for a company called Hamel Scale, and they sent me. I convinced them to send me to Digital Summit, which is a digital marketing summit conference. It's
the same one that we sent
Courtney to.
One of our minions. Yeah.
We sent Courtney to the Minneapolis Digital Summit. But I went to Digital Summit, and it was mostly for me. It was mostly for me and Evergrow to learn things there. And I got him to give me like the pass, like one step above basic. And there was like a pre-party at VML, which is
Pre-party.
yeah, which is VML YNL or something like that. So it's like VML is a company that like does all like Gatorade's digital marketing. And
Oh, cool.
they acquired or were acquired by like Yellow Pages or something, or Yandex. I don't know. Whatever. Doesn't matter. I met a guy there named Jay, and he's very kind of the entrepreneurial kind of this job or this venture one week, this venture the next week, but he's very polished and I don't know. I can't get a read on him whether he actually makes a lot of money or he he just looks like he does and sleeps in his car. But we during the conference, like the next day, we connected. We met up in like the lobby area between sessions and just started just talking about random stuff. But it started following him on LinkedIn, and he's got like tons and tons of pictures of him like in meetings and like meeting with people, and like they're good. Like it's like good photography. And he's got like videos. And I remember commenting on one of his posts and saying, how do I get someone to follow me around with a camera? Like kind of snarky. And then he just replies back and he said, pay someone. So ever since then, I'm like, man, I wish I had enough money just to like pay someone to follow me around and like take like next time we meet up, just like phone my photographer friend and be like, hey, we're having a company meeting. It's gonna be super boring. I need you to take pictures and make it look important.
Yeah, make us look cool, please. No, I've gotten a lot better at this because there's been like waves of my life. The first one was, it would be cool to be an influencer type thing. I think everybody at some point feels that way. And like, oh yeah, it would be cool to have people know me and recognize my face. And then the second one was, I really don't want that. Like I actively and honestly, I still feel that way mostly. But I think there's this middle tier of, I don't care. Like I'll do what I have to do in order for whatever business I'm doing to work and to have the business model be successful. To an extent. I mean, I can only stretch myself so much, but as far as my appearance goes, I put very little effort compared to what most compared to what most influencers do. I really don't care. And I was talking to Eva about this too, because we were talking about writing and writing styles, and I said I decided a long time ago that I wanted to be a businessman who was creative and not a creative who does business things. Because that was more important to me, because I think that money's ultimately just more important than doing creative things or being important, in my opinion, and to me. And of course that varies person to person.
We've got an episode in the pipeline that we've an idea of if you want to run a successful business, you have to be okay with being bad at what you were once good at. So that's like
truth.
Like Cody, eventually the goal is to have Cody be not as good at ads anymore. And the goal for me is to not be as good at SEO or writing or any of that, because Cody and I are busy actually growing a business and doing business things, doing boss ass shit. But I think that's kind of like the trope of the landscaper, which is they're so good at landscaping they decided to open their own business up, but they're an operator and not an owner, and they don't know how to do the owner stuff, and that's what ultimately crushes their business. Or they just stay solo until they're 60 and they die without a 401k. But yeah, you have to really reflect on why you're starting a business. If you start the business because you love what you do, like if you actually love doing the SEO rather than actually loving the SEO itself or the active SEO, it's going to be harder to make that switch from actually going into an ownership role. But man, we're already shifting. Yeah. We're already shifting topics.
Nah, it's okay.
Let's reel her back in. Back.
That's all I actually had written down. So if you got more,
I got one more thing, and I think it's a lot of our competitors do this, which is go to industry events. So I talked to Cody about this because I actually want to do this, but I want to do it, but I'm scared to, and I don't want to. Like I have big irrational fears. I have a lot of anxiety.
sure.
But there's a big event, big landscaping event called GIE. Well, it's not called that anymore. It's called something else. I can't remember. Something Expo. But it is I think it's in Kentucky, and it's huge. But all of our competitors go here, and they all have a booth, or they're just at least there, and we don't. And I have two fears. So number one fear is I've never run an event before. I have no idea how to set up or decorate or run a booth. Lauren does. So if we ever do that, like she's really good at it and she can help us. That's my fiance. Oh, that feels weird. Oh my God. We haven't told the listener I got engaged.
I thought we did, didn't we? Didn't we do that in the last one? Or did we just say that you were going to?
I think we just said we were going to. Did we have an episode when we came back? No, we didn't. We haven't had it. This is our first episode since I've been back.
I don't remember. I'll believe you.
I think. Well, we're gonna pretend like I haven't told you guys. I got engaged. We went to Mexico, and now I'm engaged.
Congrats! Ooh. Yeah, I remember doing this because I felt like I didn't have an appropriate reaction.
Oh,
but let's do it again in case we didn't. This could have been a dream.
Woo! Ooh. Anyways, okay, so Lauren's very good at decorating booths, and I have a lot of confidence she could help us if we gave her a budget. But like one of our competitors' booths is extravagant. It's beautiful how they set it up, and I'm nervous that our booth wouldn't be very good. But again, I also don't have any experience running these. The third, I guess really the third fear is, if we spend the money to rent a booth space, to travel out there and stay out there for a week, is our client acquisition going to be worth it as if we just upped our Facebook ad, or not our Facebook ads, our YouTube ads by $500 to $1,000?
That's just 100% of my fear. It makes me think of like when I had like the 2 times. I don't know. I don't remember how many times I went on vacation, but I remember my dad, like we go on vacation and then we would spend money. And then he'd be mad that we went on vacation and spent money. And I was like, well, we didn't have to do this. This was an option. And now you're grumpy about it. But I mean, that's just a classic dad move. But still, I feel the same way. Like if we sunk a ton of money into something like that, and then the acquisition wasn't as cost effective, that at some point you do those things regardless because they aren't. There's more to it than just the direct costs, but I think that's when you're bigger too.
I think it's well, especially when you consider the things that we've been doing, which is literally not running ads and having 100% inbound acquisition, and you consider spending money in any capacity. Is it going to be worth it to do that versus just going hard on our channel that is going to perform well for you? And the only reason why we know it's going to perform well for us now is because we're actually running ads for a client of ours in the landscaping business who sells landscaping courses, who also owns a landscaping business. Running ads for him on the channels that we're going to run to the market we're going to run. So we already know that the ads are performing well and that we should have very similar success, at least with engagement or ad delivery. But especially like thinking about the podcast we've been featured on, we're still getting. I have two HubSpot form requests in my inbox right now for 2 people who found us on the podcast. It's actually 3 people if you count the person I have to turn away because we already have a client in their market. So it's like, why? Like, why would we go to an event?
Well, the other thing that we talked about this briefly, and this was a while ago, but we talked about potentially even doing just a road trip where instead we visited our clients and then we made a video about that, and then we used that as a marketing resource too. So like the cost would most likely be at least similar, if not cheaper. And then on top of that, we get this really cool content that we could use that shows a unique thing that other people haven't used as an angle, and could be a very just unique and effective style of content delivery that people could relate to that hasn't been seen before.
Yeah, and you've also like made good relationships with your client, and
double win.
Yeah, I'd want to go see clients that like are struggling, just to meet up with them, take them out, schmooze them. Hit up the strip clubs. one of our clients, I won't say who, but I will say they were in Denver. I was out there with Lauren on my birthday, 2021. It was Lauren, it was my sister, and my brother-in-law, sister's husband. We were all out there, and I was like, "Hey, man, we're out here in Denver. Let's meet up." And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Do you guys want to go meet at the strip club?" I was like, I honestly am not shocked that he would ask. Like, Lauren was so down. She wants to meet him so bad because he just sounds wild. She's like, I'll do it. Let's do it. It's like, I'm not going to get my whole family out to a strip club in Denver.
So I want to, okay, we're running low on time, but I do want to mention this one. And it's that you have never been to a casino. Is that right?
No, the first time I went to a casino was when we went.
Yeah. And we only went to we didn't go gambling at the casino. We just went to the buffet.
Yeah, that was in August 2020, right? Or September 2020.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we didn't gamble. We just went to the buffet because I don't know, it was open and we wanted a lot of food.
Yeah, and that's one that I think, okay, because like, what are the questionable environments in business that sometimes come up? And I think of like, sometimes drinking events, especially me, because I don't drink. So if they're, depending on if I know or don't know the person that this business relationship would be with, I'll be invited to places that are like clearly drinking focused, and I'll be like, I don't care, I'll totally go, but just a heads up, I don't drink. So if we're expecting to use alcohol as a means of social. Yeah.
Then
it's not a great one. I think that one, and then I think maybe some sports sometimes, like just assuming that some people care about, I don't know, baseball or actually play golf, that sort of thing. But the one that I hadn't really thought about much until you had said that was just the gambling / casino experience and venue, and whether or not people had done that or have, because I especially think of this with, we've got a lot of Southern clients and a lot of good Christian root guys who it wouldn't surprise me if some of them took it as far as gambling isn't good and you shouldn't do it, and it could be a issue in business to some extent. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to take a client out to a casino, or anything drinking related, unless it was like a restaurant that had drinks.
Yep.
I just wouldn't. It would be like, I think if it's like a topical thing, like golf or something, or like, Top Golf, which has drinks, I would ask them if they golfed, and then like, if that sounds fun to them. But you should also know a little bit about what your client likes to do before you make a road trip out to them.
I think that was in the Google training, wasn't it? I remember reading a question that was like, you looked at their LinkedIn profile and noticed that they liked golf. So before the meeting, you mentioned something about golf to them. And I was like, this isn't Google's training. I think it was in their sales one for Google Partners. It was very strange. I can't remember why I took it.
I think if we met Scott Mulchan out in Indiana, I think I would take his son out paintballing.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. I'd be like, hey Scott, nice to meet you. I really don't care. I'm gonna take your son out paintballing.
Hey, Cody, I'll talk to you. I'm gonna go take your son. We're gonna have fun.
Yeah, we're gonna have fun at PB Explosion. The casino thing. Well, it also depends too, because there's different things at casinos. There's like concerts, there's like events, and there's other things. I just never been to a casino because I frankly don't like to gamble. I don't think it's bad. I don't like losing money. and a casino's job is to take your money. So the odds are against you in literally everything. But Lauren, we did on Mardi Gras, we were in French Quarter on Bourbon Street, or Bourbon Street's in French Quarter, but we were on Bourbon Street in New Orleans on Mardi Gras. And one night when we were there, we decided to go to the casino there. It's a famous one, Caesars or something. Maybe it's not Caesars. I don't know. Anyways, there's a casino there. This is how little I know about it. And Lauren's like, let's just play the slot machines. I was like, okay, like whatever. And we went in with like $20 and we were there for like 3 hours with $20.
Like pennies or something.
Yeah. But like there was a time where we had $100. Like we hit like jackpots, and like, of course we ended with nothing, but like the point was to go in there, have fun. Also, while you're there, you get free drinks if you're at a table or if you're at a machine. So if we went and ordered our first drink, and then like people would come around, and then we were in place. So we spent $20 and got like 6 drinks each. So for us, we made money, or we spent like very little on drinks. And like, if you go in that with that goal or that mindset, I'm down. I did play. I digress. I did pull out $20 to play one game of blackjack and lost it in 5 seconds, and then I was like, "All right, I'm out." I did. I seriously. I was like, "Wait a minute! I don't know how I just lost."
Yeah, it's like, brutal like that.
But yeah, I would like to go again, do plenty of slots again, but it's just overall not my thing.
Yeah, I get that.
So, well, I think we can end it there, so you can go get our business cards from the business card store.
It's from the business card place. Yeah, I gotta go pick them up.
All right, guys. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode. I certainly did. But yeah, stay tuned for the next episode.
See ya.